Hello everyone, I'm Masanori Yajima from Waseda University in Tokyo. I'll talk about a first look at brand indicators for message identification, BIMI. Let me provide you with an overview of our measurement study on brand indicators for message identification, BIMI, that we conducted. As you may know, the standardization of BIMI is currently underway in order to improve email authentication and brand recognition. However, to date, no comprehensive measurement studies have been conducted on this technology. That's why we took the initiative to conduct the first large-scale measurement study of BIMI in the wild. Our study aimed to investigate how widespread BIMI adoption currently is and to identify any potential configuration mistakes or sign of abuse. To achieve this, we investigated DNS records for 1 million popular website domains to see how many had implemented BIMI and how well they had configured it. In this presentation, we will share with you the results of our measurement study. These results provide valuable insights into the current state of BIMI adoption and the potential risks associated with its implementation. Mail security mechanisms have been standardized and widely adopted as effective measures against phishing emails. Some of these mechanisms include SPF, DKIM, DMARC, MTSS, DANE, and TLS reporting. In addition to these technologies, the standardization of BIMI is also advancing. BIMI stands for Brand Indicators for Message Identification, which is a new email authentication standard that aims to help business authenticate their emails using their logos. Here are some key points about BIMI. BIMI allows a company to display their logo in the email message. The logo is displayed only if the email message passes certain authentication checks such as DMARC. BIMI uses a DNS record to specify the location of the logo image file as well as other metadata about the logo. Recipients can visually verify the legitimacy of the email sender by checking for the presence of the brand logo image in the email message. In summary, BIMI is a new email authentication standard that provides a visual way for recipients to verify the legitimacy of the email sender by displaying their company logo in the email message. As previously mentioned, there have been no comprehensive measurement studies conducted on BIMI. That's why we decided to set out and conduct our own research to shed some light on this technology. Our research had several purposes, and we set the following research questions. First, we wanted to find out how widespread BIMI currently is. To do so, we investigated the DNS records of 1 million popular websites domain names. Second, we aimed to determine whether BIMI is configured with other DNS-based email security mechanisms. We wanted to see whether the use of BIMI correlated with the adoption of other email security standards. Third, we looked into the typical misconfiguration of BIMI. We were curious to know whether there were any common mistakes or oversights made when implementing BIMI. Finally, we wanted to investigate whether there were any cyber attacks exploiting BIMI. As with any new technology, it's essential to consider the potential security risks and identify any vulnerabilities that malicious actors might exploit. Our goal was to answer these research questions and share our findings with the community. The next section of this presentation will cover the methods of our BIMI measurement study. We used a systematic method to conduct our research. We started by sending a query each domain name to look up various DNS-based email security mechanisms, such as BIMI, SPF, DKIM, DMARC, and so on. Then, we recorded the response to each query and determine whether each mechanism is operational based on whether the response matches the signatures. This enables us to evaluate the widespread adoption of BIMI and whether it is being configured with other DNS-based email security mechanisms. In this page, we have a table that summarizes the DNS records that need to be set for each of the security mechanisms we described earlier. When we looked up the records for each domain name, we determined if the security mechanism was operational, if the response matched the signatures in the signature column. In this section, we outline the datasets used in our research. We utilized the trunk dataset, which contains 1 million domain names and was published on February 20th, 2022. Additionally, we collected 84,730 unique domain names of phishing email senders between April 1st and April 28th, 2022. Finally, we used the OpenFish dataset, which consists of 30,221 domain names of phishing sites, and obtained this list of domain names on May 2nd, 2022. Based on our research, we found that there were 3,581 domain names with BIMI records. However, it was surprising to see that out of these, only 396 domain names had a valid VMC available for download. This means that although BIMI has been standardized and promoted as a promising solution to combat phishing emails, it is not widely implemented yet. The logarithmic graph presented in this table displays the number of domain names that are BIMI compatible in each rank interval based on the trunk list of website popularity. Our findings indicate a positive correlation between a website's ranking and the rate of BIMI adoption, with higher ranked domain showing a higher likelihood of implementing BIMI. We found that there were no BIMI records for 114,915 domain names in the combined datasets of phishing email senders and OpenFish. This is mainly because the trademark registration process acts as a barrier to BIMI record operations. However, we cannot be certain that there won't be any BIMI abusing domain names in the future. We also examined the correlation between BIMI and other email security mechanisms. As shown in this table, we found that the number of domain names configuring BIMI was larger than those using MTSS and TLS reporting. However, we only found 2 domain names that were using BIMI at level 3 and operating 10. This suggests that there may be opportunities to further enhance email security by promoting the adoption of BIMI in conjunction with other mechanisms. Next, we share the results of our analysis on misconfiguration. We analyzed 3 key items, which were BIMI record, brand logo image, and VMC. Our findings showed that all of the survey items had VMCs that were in violation of constraints. In our discussion, we found that BIMI has been widely adopted despite being a relatively new standard. One reason for this may be that it is relatively easy to set up. However, we also discovered that only a small fraction of domain names have properly configured VMCs, which are necessary for displaying BIMI logos. We believe this is due to the high cost of obtaining a VMC. To get a valid VMC, a brand logo needs to be registered as a trademark, and a third-party organization needs to issue a certificate based on examination. Although the cost of implementing BIMI may be a barrier for some companies, we believe that it could actually help prevent attacks that use fake logos. If it becomes more difficult and expensive to obtain valid VMCs, it could discourage malicious actors from attempting to exploit BIMI. BIMI misconfiguration is a common issue that we identified during our study. It is highly likely that this is due to the employer introduction of SVG conversion to and BIMI configuration check to in BIMI documents. To reduce misconfiguration, it is essential to further disseminate these tools and ensure that they are properly integrated into BIMI implementation processes. This will help to ensure the proper functioning of BIMI and increase its overall effectiveness in combating email-phishing attacks. To scale up BIMI adoption, there are several challenges that need to be addressed. Firstly, the current adoption rate of BIMI with VMC is not very high. Secondly, although we surveyed major MUAs, there were cases where MUAs did not support BIMI. It is important for MUA vendors to recognize the effectiveness of BIMI in protecting their users and implement it in near future. Additionally, to increase the number of BIMI-compliant domain names, it is important to reduce the cost of setting BIMI. By addressing these challenges, we can improve the adoption and effectiveness of BIMI as a standard for email authentication and protection. Our study confirmed the effectiveness of BIMI in enhancing the email authentication and mitigation phishing attacks. Despite being a relatively new mechanism, our investigation found that 3,538 domain names already had BIMI records. However, we also identified several challenges that need to be addressed for BIMI to scale. These include the low adoption rate of BMC, the lack of support from some MUAs, and the high cost of obtaining BMC. Additionally, misconfiguration of BIMI was found to be a problem, indicating the need to further dissemination of SVG conversion and BIMI configuration check tool. Overall, our study suggests that BIMI holds great promise as a critical tool for improving email security. Addressing the identified challenges will be key to realizing this potential and increasing adoption. That's all. Thank you for listening.